And I was just disappointed because the majority of the women said they felt invisible. And that's when I just decided, it kind of triggered something in me. And I'm like, you know what, I have to do something about it. And that was when I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to inspire women 50 and over to live their best life on their own terms.
Welcome back to We're Not Dead Yet, Women Rocking Their Next Chapter. You are going to love my guest today. She is a firecracker and the epitome of inspiration. And more women are coming into my orbit thanks to some of my viewers. I talked to 3 great women yesterday who I plan to interview soon. So if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell and make sure that you're logged into YouTube. If you're not, you won't be able to do those things. Today I'm here in the home of Kwavi, who is a certified life coach and actually is one of our fabulous American immigrant stories and came to us via London or
Yes,
South Africa?
London.
Okay,
London.
and in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
And she is changing the world one woman at a time.
Yeah,
welcome.
One woman over 50 at a time for sure.
Yes, welcome, Kwavi.
Thank you.
So tell me about your journey.
All right, so I'm a life coach right now for women 50 and over. And in the beginning, I was actually a weight loss coach for women 40 and over. And then just before I turned 50, maybe 3 years before that, I decided to interview women who were already 50 to kind of get some advice of like, you know, this amazing journey I was coming into. And I was just disappointed because the majority of the women said they felt invisible. And that's when I just decided, it kind of triggered something in me. And I'm like, you know what, I have to do something about it. And that was when I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to inspire women 50 and over to live their best life on their own terms. And that's how it started for me.
Wow. So, but what was your education in?
So, information technology.
Oh, yes?
Yes, I was a consultant for a number of years. And then, but health and wellness was always a part of my life. Like when I was 19, I changed my whole diet. Stopped eating meat, stopped drinking soda. So, and it was always part of me. And then I remember in college, my colleagues, because I was in England at the time, and my friends were like, oh, what are you doing, teacher? So I'd give them little meal plans and things, but I never thought about it as a career because I was like, people don't make money from this. Kept going, did my IT, and then, you know, the health and wellness thing kept coming up. Like people would ask me like, so what do you do? Like even when I had kids, you know, after I had kids, I was able to, you know, still keep on living this healthy lifestyle. People were like, what are you doing? So I would share with them, and eventually I said, okay, you know, I'm going to go back and learn more about health and wellness and become a coach. And so I did the certification, did that, and then I became a weight loss coach for 40 and over. And then for a while, my husband and I, we actually owned a weight loss center together.
Oh, you did?
Yes, it was a physician supervised weight loss center. He did the physician side and I did the coaching side. And that worked well. But after a while, I wanted to do more. And I knew that I could do more online. And that was when I said, okay, gonna do the weight loss thing online. And then, you know, I was doing that. That was good. And it was for women 40 and over. So that was great. I enjoyed that. And then just before I turned 50 was when I was like, okay, let me just kind of, you know, learn some things from people who are already in their 50s that I can do to kind of prepare. And that was when I found this thing. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, no, hold up. That can't be.
So did you write the book then, before you started, or after you started coaching?
Oh, yeah. After. This book was only last year. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, during COVID. Mm-hmm.
And so it's a tool you use.
Well, this is part of it because one of the things I want to do is I want to impact 1 million women. That's like my goal, right? And so one of the ways I figured I could do that, actually the different ways I do it is I work with women one-on-one, so I coach them. I also have an online community called Flourish. And then I thought, you know, a book would be another way. I'm like, so that I can kind of touch more people. And that's why I created the book. And really what I want them to do with the book is I want them to fall in love with themselves, one question at a time.
I love that. So tell me, what do people tell you are some of the most impactful questions in here?
One of the ones they normally people ask tell me is the first question. They find that very difficult. They're like,
First
where do we
question
even begin?
is,
And that was specific.
what are 20 things I love most about myself?
Yeah, that's a struggle for a lot of women. They are like, where, how? They're like, I don't know. And I tell them, you know what? There's no rush here. Just think about it. You can do this. Because there are things you love about yourself that you've probably forgotten about that I want you to kind of relive. I want you to go there. So that's one of the questions I get, the most questions
So
on.
that's where you get the falling in love with yourself, one question at a time.
Yeah.
That's
Because
beautiful.
I really think that self-love is really the foundation for how we live our lives. And if you can't even appreciate who you are, it's like whatever you do is not going to be sustainable. And so that's why I put that in there, to kind of force women to really think about themselves.
It's so important because it's human nature to have doubts, right? For most people.
Yeah.
But do you find, with all the interviewing you've done and the coaching you've done, do you find that the years sort of beat a percentage of the confidence away?
I see that. I see the confidence waning for women once they get older. Not all women, but a lot of women. And I know that has a lot to do with, societal norms, that narrative that's played over and over again, where they begin to feel that they're insignificant. And so that's one of the areas that I work with women, to kind of build that confidence level up again, because they have it. Their bodies are changing. You have menopause. You have all these different things going on. And when you add all that together, it's easy for women to just say, I'm done. You know what?
Yes. So was there a time in your life where your confidence waned at all?
I think I think it's an ebb and flow for me, but it's not like it just goes down like that. It's an ebb and flow. Like there might be something I knew I'm doing. I'm like, can I do this? And then I just kind of like, okay, you know what, Kwavi, just go for it. And then I do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. And that's what I share with my women. It's no one is built with this radar where they have this level of confidence built in all the time. It's gonna be ebbs and flows. That's just how it is. And then sometimes you just have to do the thing. It's kind of like, I always tell them, because sometimes my clients say, well, I've never done that before. And I'm like, okay. And I ask them questions. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, okay, are you a mother? Okay. When you were first a new mother,
did you do that before?
You did that before. If you're married, did you do that before? I'm like, we have to be aware of the thoughts that sometimes can plague us and make us think that we can't do something. But thoughts are not always true. They're just thoughts. And you get to challenge them. You get to decide, is this beneficial to me? Or if it's not, and if it's not, you get to challenge them. You can change the way you think about it. And
yes.
I always kind of, and that's more empowering, because sometimes people say, oh, just do the work. I'm like, I like to start from the thoughts, because your thoughts impact how you feel, and how you feel are going to create whatever action or inaction that you're going to do. And so my thinking is like, why are you thinking that way? Why are you choosing to think that? Because you have a choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I started this channel, YouTubing is for 20-year-olds and children, and what am I doing? And I've never been on camera before, and a billion doubts.
Yeah.
And how I overcame it was one action at a time.
That's what it is. It's like you take one step, you put one step in front of the other. You're not going to, because sometimes if you think of the whole thing, can be overwhelming. I get that.
Yes.
But it's just one step, you put one. I remember for me, it was TikTok, because I'm on TikTok. And that's where that's where I get most of my clients from.
Do you?
Yeah. And so when I first went on there, I told my boys, because I'm like, okay, let me just let them know.
And they said, no, Mom.
Of course they did. Of course they did. And so this was back in November 2019, and they're like, no, Mom. I'm like, okay, left it alone. And then March 2020, I'm like, I'm going on, and they were like, no. I'm like, listen, this point in time, doesn't matter what you guys say, I'm doing it. And I'm glad they do, because I have like 37,000 followers on there, and they are women my age. But the thing is, and I know my kids love me. But think about society as a whole. But they're asking those questions and making those statements because of what society has ingrained in people, that certain things belong to this age group and this belongs to this age group. But it's not true. Like, who says who?
Exactly.
I mean, really.
But it's a challenge, because our biggest hurdle is ourselves.
Oh, for sure. It's like, what's stopping you? I tell my clients, I'm like, what's stopping you? And then they're like,
myself.
And so we have to get over ourselves.
Yes.
And that's the struggle though, because no one is like, it's just you.
It's a daily struggle.
Oh yeah.
Hourly.
Oh yeah. You have to intentionally decide, like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And just keep it moving.
Do you find with the women you work with, do you find they all have a good support group of women, or do they need to be nurtured sometimes?
Most of them, they don't. Most times, actually, when they come to me, they don't. I mean, some of them come to me in tears because, you know, family, friends don't support them. But I always tell them that your family and friends are not there to support what you're doing because they don't know. So this is new to them. They're looking at you like, why do you want to do this at this age? Like, why are you doing that? They don't know. And so I tell my clients all the time, don't blame your family and friends. They just don't know. Join my community. Let's do this. This is what we do here. We help inspire and motivate. That's what we do. They don't know how to do that, and that's okay.
Yeah. So you built this group called Flourish. Mm-hmm. It's an online group.
Yes, online.
And in a mission to provide this network for women who may not have it.
Yeah, and really, the reason why I started was because I wanted to help women rediscover their purpose and passion so that they can live their best lives, whatever that means to them. And so we cover different areas. We start with, you know, the first part is more of the confidence and the self-love and the self-compassion. And then we also cover relationships because that's a big part of, you know, how we act in the world. And then we cover, you know, health and wellness. So we cover menopause, we cover finance, and we cover sleep, we cover sex. So we cover all those areas because those are integral parts of who we are and how we show up in the world.
Demystify for me.
Yeah.
What a life coach is. It sounds like such an awe-inspiring term. And so when people come to you and say, I need help, what does that process look like? What does that relationship look like?
And I work with clients typically for 6 months. And when they come to me, I ask them a series of questions. So the way I work with them where I'm not really telling them what to do. I'm making them aware of what they can do for themselves. Because my goal is to empower you, not to kind of give you the tools and you're like, okay, and then come back to me for more. No.
Give a woman a fish she eats for a day. Teach her how to fish.
Exactly. And that's it. And that's the way. And so most of the time when I have my sessions with my clients, I'm asking them a lot of questions that they have never even thought to ask themselves. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sparks different things like, oh, I could have done that. Oh, yes, I can do that. And so they end up coming with the answers that they need through the series of questions that I ask. As a life coach, I really don't deal with the past. My goal is really to figure out what's the next, next chapter, how we're going to create it.
A mental health professional to deal with the past.
Right, exactly. We're like, what do you want to create? What do you want your future to look like? Let's design it, let's create it, let's make it how you want it to be. Sometimes people just don't know what they want. Yeah. They come to me and they're like, I look in the mirror and I don't even recognize myself anymore. I'm like, I know I want to be more and do more, but I don't know what to do. And they know they want more, but they're like, I don't know where to begin.
Yes.
And because they've done so much for others, they have no clue. It's like they've almost numbed the value in themselves. And they're like, I don't know what I can do.
Especially moms, right?
Of course.
Because we take joy in caring for our children. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's the most important job. Mm-hmm. And we get to a phase where, well, let's face it, they always still need us.
But in a different way.
But in a different way. Yeah. And then I can see the validity in what you're saying, that over the course of time, unintentionally, you begin to lose sight of the value in yourself.
In yourself. And more or less, you kind of put your self-worth is not attached to the work you do for your kids. So once that kind of declines because, they get older, they kind of do their own things, they have their own friends, and they don't spend as much time with you. And so you begin to wonder, okay, who am I? Mm-hmm. And you begin to question your self-worth. But the thing is, for those listening, your self-worth is intact. It's not based on what you do for your kids or what they do, none of that. Your self-worth is 100% intact, regardless of what you do or do not do.
Absolutely. I just stumbled into this. Mm-hmm. It was just a bizarre thought I had that there was no basis that I could actually do it. Other than that, I have a lifelong history of just biting off more than I can chew.
It's not a bad thing.
Build out a room, sure, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, fix drywall, of course.
Why
I'll
not?
figure it out.
Why not?
So it was kind of that. But you know, building out a room is not visible for the world to see. And I think society. Well, you tell me, why is it as we get older that it seems so much scarier to try something?
Society does not encourage you to do that. First of all, they look at you like, "What are you doing?"
and your children,
Yeah,
look at you like, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing? It's like, why are you doing that? And then also, you don't see examples of yourself around doing stuff like that. And so you're like, and then your brain chimes in and says, seriously, why are we doing this? And so you have no example.
Right.
It's just think that women, we're meant for so much more. We have so much wisdom and experience. It's like, we just don't want to sit down. And I'll say this too, there are some women that just want to chill, and that's okay.
It is okay.
But I'm speaking to the women that know that they want more and they're not sure how, or they're kind of worried because of what other people will think. Guess what? People will talk regardless. But I do know one thing. At the end of your life, you'll be glad that you made the attempt to do whatever it is that's yearning inside. Because that's one of the regrets that most people have at the end of their life. I did some research on that. It's like they felt that they didn't live the life they were meant to live. I don't want women to feel that. I want less women to feel that way. Like, if I can just show them a glimpse of the possibilities of life, I just show them that this is what's available to you. And I just let them know, listen, I'm not special. I'm doing these things, but I'm not special. This is all available to every single person. Every single human has this availability to know.
And that was the goal, the nugget of the idea for this channel. Because I looked around me and I did see women, friends of mine. I did have great examples of women who were crushing it, you know, at 50 and 60. And I said, and I wasn't necessarily crushing it, you know, but I said, what if there was a channel that highlighted women from different walks of life? They don't all have to have started a business or be a CEO. It can just be like my first episode, the woman who had never done anything artistic in her life and one day bought a paint set and is now a professional artist.
That's it. That is.
You know, it can be, you know, I talk to women about being on my channel and they're like, oh, well, you know, I don't really have a story. And I'm like,
everyone
has a story.
Everyone has a story. And you just never know who you're going to inspire by your story.
Right. Or they say, oh, well, I'm not necessarily rocking my next chapter like the guests I've seen on your show. And I'm like,
see,
you're doing that.
See.
And that is powerful.
Yeah. And the comparison thing needs to stop.
Yes.
Because we're all in different lanes.
Yes.
It's not necessary. We all have something that we bring that's of value.
Right. To someone.
Yeah, out there.
Or to ourselves.
To ourselves, yeah. And
does it make you happy?
Right. And sometimes you just don't acknowledge. And that's one of the other things I'm a big supporter of. Like, celebrate you. Like, you're doing amazing things. Don't kind of say, oh, no, you're celebrating.
Yes.
Let's celebrate you for what you're doing in the world.
You don't just teach other women and do as I say, not as I do. You walk the walk.
Oh, yeah.
You recently did something wild and crazy and out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm the poster child for that. Yeah,
what was it?
So I entered a pageant.
A pageant?
Yeah. And I get the question like, why did you do that? And let me say why. I want to be an example to women that, you know, example of what's possible. And when I was doing my research, I love to do research. So I was doing research on pageants, and I found out that most people that do pageants are white. Most women that do pageants are young.
Yes, definitely.
And most women that do pageants have long hair. So I wasn't any of those things. And I thought to myself, but I can still do it, right? And that's what I did. I entered and I won the state title, and I go to Florida in June for the nationals.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, yay.
Tell me about the retreats that you do.
Okay. So I started that because I would hear a lot of my friends say, or even on social media, I'd hear people say, well, you know what, I've planned this vacation for my family. It was great, but it's like when I get back, I feel like I need a vacation from the vacation. Right.
The planning, the packing, the
everything.
travel.
And while you're there, you're taking care of everything.
You're taking care of everything.
And everyone. So I decided to create a retreat that was just focused on the woman. I wanted them to just focus on themselves. And so the way it works is, in the morning we have breakfast, if that's you want to have breakfast. In the mid-morning we have coaching, like a group coaching session, because I want women to grow through this experience.
Sure.
And then in the afternoon you have free time, so you can take a nap, which I'm sure for a lot of women that haven't taken a nap in years. You want to read a book, you want to just sit by the pool, because I was put them in places where there's the setting, the ambience, everything is just conducive for relaxation, so you get to do that. And then in the evening we do different kinds of adventures. And it's amazing to see the look on the women's faces when they first come in. They're kind of cautious, like, what is this? And then by day 4, day 5, you can just see their faces light up, and they're like, so I have to go home? I'm like, yeah. But the beautiful thing is they have grown in some way, and it allows women to really focus on maybe some goals that they haven't thought about in a long time. A lot of my clients through the retreats have gone on to do other things, like they've gone back to school. Some of them have opened businesses because they have these goals and desires, but they've kind of like suppressed them because kids, husband, spouse, all these different things. And this gives them a chance to really just think about themselves, and they hardly ever do that.
How did people find you, Kwavi?
So you can find me on the internet under www.kwavi, and that's spelled KWAVI.com. I'm also on Instagram. My handle is Kwavi, KWAVI_TV, and I'm also on TikTok, Kwavi, KWAVI_TV, and I'm also on YouTube, actually, Kwavi TV. Yes.
Very good. Thank you for sharing your vision and inspiration with We're Not Dead Yet.
No, we're not. We're not. We have so many guys that have been in the world.